You know, they don't make them like they used to. And sadly enough, I actually think that's a true fact. We get a 2020, 2007, and a 2017 Performance Division GM product here in the garage. There's only one of these that's a pre-Government Motors era vehicle. It's 15 years old, and I think it's actually the best put together machine in the garage. So guys, aloha e koa mai to my little piece of paradise here called the Lonestar Hawaiian garage, where you join me amongst my dream fleet of vehicles. Camaro ZL1, old-ish Silverado, and a 2020 Trail Boss. Our attention today is going to be derived here to the Camaro ZL1 that's been converted somewhat into a F-1LE. Front splitter, canards, wheels, tires, that massive carbon fiber rear wing, and that carbon fiber gas cap that you guys all hate for some reason. Now this is my absolute dream car, and it might surprise you that I have not touched the paint since I've owned it. A year and a half of ownership, no ceramic coat, no graphene coat, no paint correction just yet. Our goal today is to make this product from GM actually look as good as a 15-year-old pickup truck. From a fit and finish perspective, this 2007 Silverado is by far the best in the garage. So we have a lot of minor issues we're going to be correcting today on the paint, as well as some areas of the car that's been neglected. Yeah, I got a broken canard and a few other issues. We gotta get the car up in the air and fixed. So we're gonna get them all fired up. I apologize, neighbors, but here is a 24 cylinder, 8 times 3, 24 cylinder Symphony. Enjoy. And just one rev for America. Look at this guy, hard at work. Now, as a quick reminder, we did graphene coat our F-1LE wheels, I want to say 6 months. And because they are graphene coated, you can see that water beating up real nice. And that's the goal to achieve with our paint. We get some beating, but as far as sheeting off, it definitely does not do the job. But if you watch the wheels, it sheets off water really, really nicely. And it's also incredibly easy to clean. All right, ZL1 is posted up, ready to go here in Paradise Cove. But I do want to take a quick second because in the real timeline of life, we hit a massive milestone yesterday. 100,000 subscribers on the channel, on this crazy channel. For some reason, somehow, some way, we've pulled it off. Give me a high five. Heck yeah. 100,000 subscribers on the channel, guys. I cannot thank you enough. And likely a video came out prior to this one, but in the real life timeline, we just hit that mark. We're getting right back to work, aren't we? What I'm gonna do for the last step prior to moving on to polishing is actually clay bar the whole car. Given we did use that clay mitt, this should be really quick and easy. Let's get to work. And right there, guys, is the purpose of clay barring. A little dirt there on the edge is pulling up a very small amount off of this paint, which means that clay mitt worked really good. But what happens if you don't pull that off the paint and you start polishing, it gets onto the pad and it will etch itself into the paint as you go along, or it just will destroy your pad. So we did in fact crack our front canard. I don't know how in the world this happened. So what we're gonna do is replace this. Also wanna pull off this side splitter because I did a really, really poor job wrapping this thing. So I wanna fix that. On top of that, we have some lift blocks going onto the car. We went to ZL1 add-ons for the 6th gen Camaro and purchased some mount-on lift blocks that go onto your pinch weld. And then after that, we'll finally get back to the paint correction process. But we have a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it, as usual. Okay, that's 2 of 4 installed. Now these are gonna be super convenient, especially to those of you that track your car. In my situation, when I track my car from my local JCPenney down to Costco, these are really convenient to have. In all seriousness, when I had the issue when the car fell off the quick jacks, that was a serious issue I had to really kind of dig into, understand what happened. And what actually happened was, what it was a pretty big learning experience. In fact, My goodness, what a flattering face to pause on. A little bit of inception happening here. Let's do it one more time. And speaking of learning experiences, I'm very excited to say today's video has been sponsored by Skillshare. Now what Skillshare is an online learning community for those that are trying to level up their game in their side hustle, like this guy, or for those that are just genuinely curious and creative. Personally, I've taken 2 courses over the last 2 days, late last night, early this morning, and I'm already seeing a difference in what I'm doing currently for you guys, which is editing this latest video. Now, when it comes to running this YouTube channel, it might surprise you that I've had 0 training when it comes to video editing, videography, anything with a camera. I've had to learn through trial and error. Now, that learning curve would have been much shorter with something like Skillshare. Now, I was able to take a course last night from Ali Abdal, who walks through video editing with Final Cut Pro X, which is the program that I use. Even just from last night, my efficiencies, the shortcuts that he showed, the way he organized has benefited me tremendously. I took 1 course last night. And I was so excited I woke up again early this morning to take another course from Marcus Brownlee, or MKBHD. Now, here's the cool part. There's a link in the description below, and the first 1,000 people to use that link will get an entire 1-month free trial of Skillshare. I think about what I learned over the last 24 hours, and just the 2 courses that I've taken, you can learn so much in a month. So hop on it while you can. The first 1,000 people will get this offer. I want to thank Skillshare again for sponsoring today's video. Big mahalos. I'm excited to hop on for my next course after I finish this video and this edit. So back to the content. So what happened was these lift blocks are great until they start deforming. As the car was up in the air for 2, 3, 4 hours, as this was sitting on the pinch weld, this began to deform, and when it did, it slowly leaned and leaned and leaned to a point where this piece eventually just folded over. When it folded over, the car slid, kind of fell off the quick jacks. Fortunately, I had a couple stands up under the car which caught it. But long story short, these mag pads have a little bit of wiggle room in play with the magnet on the inside. That play, mixed with the rubber block, ended up being a total disaster. Now these, same concept, but these screw onto that pinch weld. Earthquake test! All right. So next step in this fun project is our front canard. What we're gonna do is get in here, there's little tabs that secure this canard in to this air duct, as well as right here on the inside of this bumper. Once we get this canard off, we're also gonna start taking off these side winglets, because my wrap job was a very poor job. So that's coming off, as well as the other side. All right, boys, we got them rewrapped. So as you saw earlier, that all bunched up. Well, that's not the case anymore. Check that out. That's gonna look so much better for me. Most people won't notice, but I will. That's all that matters. Looking good in your safety glasses? Yeah. That crack canard is now perfect. And on top of that, I do have one of those hideaway license plate holders. Well, it used to hang down way too low, and I actually dipped down and it ripped it off. It broke both bolts, got the broken bolts out, replaced, but that's dealt with as well. So we're getting to a lot of the stuff I've really wanted to get to and just haven't had time to. This front end, can I get a chew? All right, lift point, splitter, canard. So we have ocean accents all over the car, and this is exactly what I envisioned when I initially decided on this color. Vinyl after vinyl, they don't make a wrap this color, so I actually had to custom order a custom colored vinyl. Now that we got it perfect, now I'm gonna start implementing it across the vehicle. These little subtle touches that you typically wouldn't see, but it's going to catch your eye. That red is completely gone. These actually turn out really well because it sits right inside of that lip. It looks very OEM. The brake calipers. Is this permanent? Absolutely not. This will eventually start to peel away, but if it does, we'll just stick another one on there. It's basically a sticker. And we didn't just do the front, but we did the rear as well. Oh, that looks so good. Hey guys, I just picked up a cool new tool. I had some assumptions about my ZL1 before I purchased it, and unfortunately I just confirmed those assumptions with my new coating thickness gauge. Essentially what this is a tool to tell me how much paint I have on top of the metal of my vehicle. How this tool works, it measures your paint in both microns and mils. Now typical paint on a vehicle is in between 4 and 6 mils. 6.7, 6.1. So we're sitting at the upper end of what's typically acceptable, which is a good thing. However, here was my issue. If you remember back when we picked up our ZL1, flew all the way out to Virginia. When I first laid eyes on it, I noticed that they had taken a rotary buffer to buff out the paint to make it look nice and shiny to put on their showroom floor, and that's okay, except I really wish they would not have touched the dang car. Now, any typical employee at a dealership, when they begin to buff a car, 9 out of 10 anyone's always start buffing right around here, and if they're using a rotary buffer without a lot of training, they'll take way too much paint off the car. Check again. 6.1. However, I get to the hood where they took that buffer and went absolutely gangbusters. You can probably see a little bit of the brush marks. Let's take a look here. 4.3, 3.9, 3.85. There's 30% less paint than there is right there, or even right there. Now, if you think about it, it kind of does make sense. If you're catching the edge of your buffing pad right there at that lip, it's gonna chew away that paint much faster than anywhere else. And what that means is we have to be extra careful when we're buffing the hood. We're gonna do barely enough just to get some of those swirl marks out without taking off too much. With the rest of the car, we're gonna be completely fine. Those of you that are buying a vehicle from a dealership, whether it's brand new, ordered, or used, tell the dealership before you pick it up, don't touch it, don't detail it, do it yourself, because even someone like me who's not a trained professional will take my time and take care of the thing I'm purchasing, given it's my freaking money in the first place. Now, something cool about these newer trucks, they actually, the bottom side of the rocker, they do a thick coat of clear because of all the rocks that kick up. Even in the reflection there, you see how rough that clear is? 11.8, 12.7, 13. There's twice as much paint there at the bottom as there is there at the top. So they actually do that on purpose for these off-road-ish trucks. Now the older trucks, this has been paint corrected twice now. So we've taken a good amount of clear off of this thing. 4.3, 4.9. Now just for some jokes and slightly sarcasm, we got the 2000 Mercedes. 6.5. Why do Germans put so much paint on their car? Now let's measure this. 1.94. 1.93. So obviously the clear is completely gone. And hopefully that just contextualizes the whole process here. So this is where the fun's gonna begin. And the good news is I have my minions. Hello, minions. Look at that difference. Oh, this car's gonna look so good when we're done, but we got a long way to go. What we're actually gonna do is turn it up one notch. We have the V36 we're using right now. We're gonna go with the V34, which is slightly more coarse, and then come back with the V38, which is just a polish. We'll use a lighter pad, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Here we go. Good morning again, guys. We are officially, I think, 4.5 hours into this paint correction. We've done that little section of hood, that fender, and that door. That is it. That is how bad this paint really is. I thought I could hit it with kind of a two-stage where you do a little bit of a more aggressive compound and pad, basically knock down all the scratches and go back with the polish to make it look real good. That's not working on this paint at all. We've gone 4, I don't know if stages is the right word. Look how good this door looks. We start with the V32 with my medium to heavy cutting pad, that orange pad. We then move to the V34 with my green pad, and then we go to the V36 with this finishing pad, and then we finally finish with a V38 with a polishing pad. Done, done, done. Next up. Guys, I kid you not, we are now 9 hours in. 9 hours of polishing. Literally just with the buffer. I don't know who buffed this before, but there are massive circle swirl marks coming up this direction over to the edge here. I've never taken a buffer to this vehicle before, so I can say it wasn't me. Regardless, those are really, really deep scratches, so I'm slowly working it away. I actually broke out the heavy cutting pad. It's a pigtail all the way up and over. And just as a teaser, something I'm kind of thinking through and working on. Good morning again, guys. We are now 2 hours into it this morning, and we have completed a door. I think they call it stages, but it's taking 4 steps or stages to get this clarity. We've broken out nearly every pad we have. We have the heavy cutting pad. We've given up on the medium cutting pad because that just doesn't cut it with how bad this paint is. We have our heavy, we have our light cutting pad, we have our medium finishing pad, and then our polish pad. We're using all 4 of these in combination with all of our compounds. B32, 34, 36, and 38 we use subsequently along with those pads. And in those 4 stages, this is the best clarity I've ever achieved. But if you take a look here at the fender I have not touched yet, you come over to the door, but that comes at a cost of time. We are now 11 hours into buffing. Clean once again, man. That was a pain. That was a lot of just junk all over the floor. But look at this thing, guys. This is by far the best job I've done on a vehicle, and it was by far the worst condition of paint I've ever started on a vehicle. I alluded to GM's quality kind of filtering throughout the years. Now the performance division is something else. However, mass production vehicles like the new Silverado do have its issues. And that little touch, that ZL Ocean one, that I'm a big fan of that color. That we're playing around with a few ideas when it comes to this ocean color on the wheels. We previously had it as kind of that 1LE or sport stripe on the rim, but I kind of want to implement it on the spoke or potentially the inner barrel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Should we run with something like that? I don't know if that looks kind of silly, but it does show the concaveness of this wheel a lot better, given that little touch of color. Then here on the other side, playing around with another potential idea, similar to what we did with the trail bossing, put the new wheels and tires on. So let me know in the comments below, guys. Should we run with the outer spoke, the inner spoke, or the inner barrel? You see, Daddy?
Yeah.
Okay, follow me this way. So guys, we have probably the youngest cameraman in the world employed currently at the moment. This is not child labor by any means, but we're just testing something out. We have the finish on the paint. This took 4 stages to get here. It was a heavy cut, a light cut, a heavy polish, and a light polish. That is by far the most steps I've ever taken on a paint correction. And it's by far the best clarity I've ever gotten out of a finish. Like, look at Kalani right there. You see Kalani?
Yeah.
You wanna give him a shaka? Tell him shoots. Yeah, brother. But the paint finish on this, the clear coat, was much harder than any other vehicle I've done before, so it took a lot longer to get there. But I'm happy with it. I'm sure he's happy with it. Mom's sure as heck happy that I'm done, because that was a long process. 15 hours. 15 hours of polishing on this thing, and that's outside of clay barring, detailing, prepping, lifting. 15 hours with that buffer. That was a long weekend, but I'm happy it's over because it's now time for a ceramic coat. We have something new hitting the car, and we're gonna test it out for the first time, called Avalon King. So stay tuned for that, guys. I'll be live in a few days, but I wanna thank you for the support. 100,000 subscribers, can't believe we're there. Shop is in process. We got a lot to do before then. Hey, you wanna pull the car in? Clutch in first. And just like that, boys of San Hawaii, all power. And now it's time for Palhana. Now I'm talking about, you have an entire ceramic coat upcoming for this car. We're partnering up with Avalon King. I'm trying out the product for the very first time. I'm excited to, but that's coming in a few days for you guys.
Daddy's ready.
Is it dinner time?
Yeah.
Let's go, dinner time.